Good morning, beautiful people. Charlie Wang Fitness back again with another video today. Now for today's video, we're going to be making a delicious and nutritious egg white omelette, and it's only going to take you about 5 to 10 minutes max. So let's get into it. Hard thing with breakfast is finding high protein sources. Luckily an omelette is one of the best ways, and you can get a multiple variety of vegetables in your meal as well. So we're all short on time in this modern day and age, so to help us, we've got these lovely two products right here. So I've got Prep Set Go from Woolworths. So this brand, they make pre-sliced and diced vegetables. So over here I've got some pre-sliced onions and also some sliced tricolor capsicum, or for you Americans out there, these are known as bell peppers. I also love adding some mushrooms and some spinach into my omelettes every day. Mushrooms are just great for texture, and spinach, healthy greens, almost 0 calories, super good for you. And obviously we're going to have some egg whites. In most countries you can get egg whites in carton form. We're going to be using 1 cup or around 250 grams of egg whites. You're going to get that protein nice and high, and also make it a very voluminous omelette, so it's nice and filling for us. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start measuring out our ingredients. We'll shift these out of the way. So starting with the egg whites, turn on my scale. I'm just going to measure out a cup of egg whites, or around 250 grams. Go. Now onto the vegetables. Let's put that to the side and get these vegetables out. To be honest with these veggies, it really doesn't matter how much of each you put. Vegetables are quite low in calories. I've been experimenting with ratios, and typically I like to go, there are roughly about 15 grams of onions. And the onions are going to give it a nice flavorful aroma and complement the rest of the vegetables. I'm going to go with the tricolor capsicum. Reset the scale. Typically I like to go a bit heavier on these. I might go about 30 grams of these capsicums. They are frozen, so mind you, when they cook they will shrink, so 30 grams will give you a nice decent amount. You can see I've got little rainbow colours there. I've got some yellow, some red and some green. Super lovely. Mushrooms, always a staple of everything. Typically speaking, I'll just grab a little handful of mushrooms, like so. Come out to about 20 grams there. And finally, get some spinach. So with spinach, you can see the leaves are quite big, but once you cook them, they do come down quite a bit. So keep that in mind. Again, these are quite voluminous, so even a tiny handful is going to give you a really good amount of spinach. I usually just drop a handful in there, roughly 10 grams each time, perfectly measured. Alright, so you can see we've got our lovely plate of vegetables, we've got our lovely bowl of egg whites. We're going to move over to the stove and start cooking this baby up. Let's go. All you need for this is a pan and a little spatula. I like to use a pan roughly around this size. It gives me a really nice, perfectly sized omelette. You can buy these really cheap at any supermarket or superstore. Invest in one of these, makes omelette making a piece of cake. So, what we're going to do, always start by preheating the pan. If you generally don't preheat, it will take a lot longer to cook. So what I do is I usually turn this thing onto full blast to start with. Then I'll just grab a little tiny bit of oil. Typically I use about half a teaspoon. I've done this enough times so I can just eyeball it and know that's roughly half a teaspoon of oil. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to wait a little bit for the pan to heat up, roll the oil around, and once the pan's nice and hot we can start cooking. Okay, so we're going to start cooking. Now obviously I have both some frozen and fresh veggies, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the frozen stuff first, just so that it cooks and gets cooked before I throw the other stuff in. So slide that all in. You can hear that sizzling already, the pan's nice and hot. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these around a bit so it cooks nice and evenly. And the great thing with these frozen pre-cut veggies is even though they're frozen, they do cook very fast. So it's not like you're going to have to cook these things for super long. I reckon about 30 seconds to a minute is all you need for these. You can already smell that onion coming through very nicely. Right here you can see the veggies are starting to cook. They're starting to shrink as well from all the water coming out. Now's the time to throw in the mushrooms. And typically I like to separate the mushrooms from the spinach. Mushrooms take a little bit longer to cook, and spinach wilts very easily. To be honest, you can eat these things raw. Cooking it just makes it nice that the omelette holds it all together. Alrighty, now that it's starting to cook, I'm going to throw the spinach on. Now the brilliant thing with spinach again is once you throw these things on, once you cook this thing, it will start shrinking very fast. You can already see my spinach starting to wilt very nicely. And it's shrinking to a very good size. So as you can see with the amount of ingredients here, it's actually all going to fit very well into an omelette. And once your spinach is starting to cook, set in nicely, we're going to grab the egg whites and just pour these babies in. Now for this step, it's really important. So I'll pour the egg white mixture in. You can see it starting to set. The method I use to get a nice even omelette everywhere is I basically pick up my pan, and all I'll do is I'll basically just roll it around on the edges, so then the egg whites are almost always running towards the edges. And notice how when I go to the edges, the egg whites that I roll over will then set in and solidify and start cooking. Then what I do, I just leave it on the pan again, and I'll basically repeat this process on the high heat until there's very little or no more liquid part of the egg white in the middle. The beauty of this method as well is over time, as the egg white starts going to the edges and there's very little left, you'll start getting all the vegetables and all the ingredients starting to stick together very nicely just from the natural egg white solidifying. Without even the need for cheese, all the ingredients just gel together very, very nicely, and it's not going to fall apart once you start eating. Now you can start seeing this has been on for about a minute or two now, so you can see that the egg whites are starting to solidify very nicely and there's less and less liquid part in the middle. I always find that a colourful omelette is much more appetizing to eat. Alright, as you can see now, there's almost no liquid egg white in the middle, so it's getting very hard to start running these things to the edge. You can also see that all the ingredients are nicely stuck together without any use of cheese as well. Finally, at this point, we're going to turn the heat down to low. So the heat's been on high the whole time. Turn it down to low, basically take your omelette at one of the edges, find a halfway point very nicely, and just turn it over and fold it in half, like so. There you go. So you can see that the outside, it's cooked very nicely. There's a nice golden brown crust on the outside. It's going to make it nice and crunchy, but it's also going to be super soft on the inside. Now once you flip this over, all you really need to do is just leave it for a couple of minutes to set in, and then basically you can serve it up. Typically what I like to try to do is you can gently poke down at the edges here and you can see if any of the liquid egg whites come out. If no liquid egg whites come out, that's a good sign. If there's still liquid flowing, that's perfectly okay. Just let it set in and cook for a while and it will be perfectly good to go. Alrighty, basically it's almost ready to go. If you really want to, you can also flip it over on the other side to make sure it's kind of cooked on the other side as well. I find this step is optional and it's not really needed. By this point, most of the inside will be nice and cooked anyway. So I reckon that's pretty much ready to go. We're going to turn off the stove. I'm going to grab the omelette and simply just slide it onto your plate like so. And there you go. There's our perfectly cooked egg white omelette. You can see all the nice colors flowing throughout. There's the green from the spinach. You can see a bit of yellow capsicum there. Let's have a look at the inside now. Okay, let's cut this baby up. So just gonna cut a little bit open. And look at that. Nice and fluffy, all throughout, super soft, super delicious. Feel free to season it however you want. I typically just go salt and pepper. Sometimes the Asian in me puts a bit of sriracha sauce on it. You can do anything you want, and it's super, super delicious and low calorie as well. All the calories and macros and ingredients will be shown right over here. Feel free to screenshot that, take a print screen for your records. Super low calorie, super high protein. It's a great way to start your morning as well. So I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Hope you learned something new. I think I did this in roughly under 10 minutes flat. Super easy ingredients. Try find these in your supermarket the next time. They will save you a load of time and almost no cleaning. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something and got something out of it. If you can help me support the channel, please put a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate this very much and I will love you forever. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you went. What kind of ingredients did you put in? Did you find a different method that works well for you? I'd love to hear about your experimentations with a breakfast omelette next time. Until next time, guys, see you later. Bye-bye.